My name is Charles Joyce from Roosevelt Park Bowling Club in Johannesburg, South Africa. I'm part of the Johannesburg Bowling Association Greenkeeping Committee for many years, and I'm also part of Bowl South Africa Standing Committee. Today we're going to do a demonstration on how to change the cylinder on a bowling green machine and also the bottom blade. So we will start, if we can just carry on from here now. Everybody's happy. This machine is a Scott Bonner machine. We have two types of machines in South Africa. We have the Scott Bonner and the Protea GB760. The Protea 760 is manufactured in South Africa. BG760 stands for bowling green 760 millimeters, which is the length of the cylinder here, 30 inches. So we're going to start by removing the cover on the outside here, and I'm going to put it upside down there so we can put all the nuts and bolts on that we actually have. One thing that we must remember is that we're going to loosen the tensioner on the chain first with a 14 spanner. We're just going to loosen that one there and put it down out the way. Then we're going to take a 14 spanner. I'm just going to move that weight that we have on that one. I'm going to tip the machine up so that you can see it properly. There we go. So we're going to remove the deflector plate first. This is called the deflector plate, where the grass comes out and shoots it into the bin. So this is coming off first so that we get access to the bearings underneath there. So I'm not going to be talking all the time. I'm going to be doing some of this work to both sides. This one and this one coming off, and then the deflector plate comes off. I'm just going to pop it over the top there and put this behind and put the bolts in the tray. Now as you can see, we have access to the bearings which hold the cylinder in place. So for that, to remove the caps of the bearing, we are going to need a socket and a 13 spanner. I think it's 12 or 13. No, it's a 13 spanner. You'll be able to see it on this side as we put it on there. We're going to remove the 4 bolts which hold it down. These bolts are tied into an aluminium casing which holds the cylinder and the bearings in place. So when you put the machine back together again, please don't tighten these too tight, because you'll just strip the threads in the aluminium casing. So it's very important. There you go, one cap is coming off. I'm going to leave that at this end here so that you can, excuse me, we're just going to put everything together so we've got everything back ready when we want to put it back together again. Now I'm going to remove this side. Just loosen that side first. The reason I'm doing that is we have to take the sprocket off. The sprocket is a left-hand thread, so I'm going to put that in to stop the cylinder turning. So on a left-hand thread, excuse me, instead of loosening, you have to tighten. So we're going to tighten that, which is actually loosening it. just see if we can pop the chain off here and put that away. Okay, now we can have access to that sprocket. There we go. Now that will turn off easily now by just turning that way. There we go. There's the sprocket off. Now we're going to take the bearing cap right off this side. Same as we did on the other side. Let's just move that out the way. Right. Now this bearing cap is coming off. There we go. We'll put that in there just to keep it safe. Now we can lift the cylinder off. So this cutting cylinder, don't cut your fingers on it. Just gently put your fingers in between the blades there, and then we're going to lift it up, and then it'll just pop out like that. So I'm going to push the machine back so we have space here to pull the bearings off. Now this is the these are the two bearing holders that you can see here. It's this is a typical bearing holder there. It has a shoulder bolt on it. This, if you don't know what a shoulder bolt is, that's a shoulder bolt there. As you put the shoulder bolt in there and you tighten it up against the face, this bearing will still be able to swivel up and down. That will give you your movement so that when you adjust the cylinder onto the bottom blade there, you have still got a loose connection there. It's only held by this tie bolt here. Okay, so that's just an example. Those are still both inside there. I'm going to put the cylinder to one side. We've got a sharpened one over there, which we're going to pop on there. So the bearings, sometimes these bearings come off easy and sometimes they don't. So we need a, I think it's a 24, 27. It's a bigger one. We've got to get that nut off there. It's also a left-hand thread, so we'll be tightening it. It should be very tight on here. It's only just to hold the bearing in place. So that's a left-hand thread as well. With a little washer on it. And then we're going to put the bearing puller on there. As you can see it here, it is here. This is what you call a gear puller or a bearing puller. So we're going to, let's put it on this side so that you can see it. Not always to hold, easy to hold it together and get it in the right spot, but here we go. We're going to give it a chance there. As you can see, the bearing puller and the end of the shaft has a center in it, so it should actually keep the bearing puller in the right position. So I've got a 14 spanner here, which I'm just going to put on there. and hopefully we can just pop this bearing off here. Yeah, that one's off there. And I'm going to show you this washer here. I'm just going to clean it up a little bit for you to see. This is probably one of the most important parts of the whole cylinder. That goes on and clamps up against that shoulder, and this side has got a piece protruding there which clamps on the inner of the race. So if you did have it touch in on the outer of the race, the bearing wouldn't actually move. So it's tightening on the inner of the race, and then the sprocket itself is tightening on the inner part of the race as well. So it's not going to jam. A lot of people are actually putting that washer in the wrong way around, and then they wonder why the cylinder won't move. Okay, so that's an important part of putting the assembly back together again. We're just going to pop the other one off the side. Being in South Africa at the moment, it's a very happy day for everybody in South Africa, because today is the first day that the unbanning of the liquor and the cigarette.
Yay!
So everybody can have a little bit of a cheer for that.
Everybody, yay!
Yay! So we're just going to pop this bearing here as well. There we go. Then that comes up, and then you'll see this one has got the recess in as well. I'll just wipe it off for you to see. There you go, it's got a raised face there, which only clamps on the inside of the race. Very, very important.
Turn it around.